A political shockwave has just slammed into the very core of Westminster, and its tremors are racing outward with terrifying speed, threatening to rip apart the ancient foundations of the United Kingdom itself. Just moments ago, explosive, highly confidential details about Prime Minister Keir Starmer's House of Lords reform plan were leaked. And let me be absolutely clear, this is not some dry procedural tweak the mainstream media will try to package as a harmless modernization. This is an act of open confrontation. A calculated strike aimed straight at the heart of the monarchy. And the man standing directly in the crosshairs, the one feeling the searing heat more than anyone else, is Prince William. If you think House of Lords reform is just about gently retiring a few elderly hereditary peers, you've been completely deceived. That's the surface-level illusion. What is unfolding behind the heavily guarded doors of number 10, Downing Street is far darker, far more sophisticated, and infinitely more dangerous. According to an ultra-high-level insider, someone who has gambled their entire career to smuggle these documents out, Starmer's scheme does not end with scrapping hereditary peers. That's just the camouflage. The real mission, the hidden endgame dressed up in pretty phrases like democracy and modernization, is to isolate the royal family, hollow out the king's authority, and turn Prince William into a powerless figurehead before he even comes close to wearing the crown. Look at the scene right now. Westminster is in full-blown crisis mode. Secure red phones are ringing non-stop. Blacked-out government cars are tearing through the streets. Why this level of panic? Because buried in this leaked draft is a lethal clause nobody in the establishment dared to show the public. This isn't about reshuffling names on a seating chart. It's a brutal constitutional operation designed to sever the sacred link between Parliament and the Crown, a link that has held for more than 800 years. Starmer, with the icy precision of a veteran lawyer, knows exactly what he's doing. He understands that if the House of Lords is reshaped in the way he intends, the final shield protecting the monarchy from extreme political forces will simply evaporate. Prince William, who normally maintains a calm, carefully controlled public image, is said to have erupted in fury during an emergency crisis meeting at Kensington Palace this morning. Those inside the room describe the atmosphere as glacial, the kind of cold that cuts deeper than any shouted argument. William sees exactly what's happening. He knows that this assault on aristocratic peers is only the opening shot aimed at him. Today they push out the title holders in the Lords. Tomorrow, do they push out the residents of Buckingham Palace? That's not a rhetorical flourish. That is the core threat. And here's the part that should send a chill straight through you, the timing. Why now? Why choose this moment, when King Charles is already battling serious health issues, to launch such a devastating constitutional assault? Is this the ruthless calculation of a prime minister who wants to deliver the killing blow while his opponent is weakened? Or is Starmer acting on behalf of darker forces, puppet masters who dream of transforming Britain into a republic and erasing the legacy of Queen Elizabeth entirely? The 50-page leaked document in our hands lays out the next phase in chilling detail. You won't see this on the BBC. CNN won't touch it. But we will. Hidden deep in the text are proposals to review the royal prerogative in the legislative process. Remove that power, and Prince William is reduced to nothing more than a glossy Instagram symbol. No power, no influence, no voice as decisions are made that could rip the Commonwealth to pieces. The aristocracy is in uproar. One anonymous lord reportedly shouted in despair, "This is treason. They are selling our history for cheap votes." But Starmer isn't flinching. He's gone all in. He's convinced the public has grown tired of the monarchy and sees this as his one shot to carve his name into history as the man who finally dismantled what remains of the old order. But Starmer has misjudged William. The prince is not prepared to surrender quietly. What we're about to witness is not a calm, civilized discussion. It's the opening phase of the most savage power struggle of the 21st century. William is already moving his pieces. Back channels between the palace and opposition leaders are burning hot. Plans for a counteroffensive are taking shape. But the question remains, can William halt Starmer's runaway reform juggernaut before it crushes his family's legacy? Or are we about to watch the slow-motion collapse of a dynasty in real time? Don't look away, because what comes next is even darker. We're going to talk about a blacklist, names Starmer reportedly intends to erase without mercy. And you will be stunned by who sits at the very top. The storm has only begun. If you thought the first leak was disturbing, what we're about to expose will freeze your blood. We spoke of broad constitutional reform, but just minutes ago, our source inside the Cabinet Office confirmed the existence of a separate, attached document. Officials are calling it the Red File. Let's drop the euphemism. It's a hit list. This is not about gently phasing out the 92 remaining hereditary peers as part of some tidy modernization narrative. That's the lie being spoon-fed to the public. The truth is something else entirely. We now know this list targets specific lords, figures who have long served as the king's informal eyes and ears inside the upper chamber. These aren't just titled aristocrats. They are a living constitutional bridge between the palace and parliament. They're the people who watch new laws like hawks, ensuring they don't quietly strip the monarch of his last remaining levers of influence. By eliminating them, Starmer is effectively blinding the monarchy, cutting the wires, smashing the warning lights that tell the crown when a government is pushing too far. Prince William knows it. A leaked text from a senior Kensington Palace aide, sent just 2 hours ago, contained 3 chilling words. We are blind. Without those loyalists inside the Lords, the royal family loses its early warning system. They become deaf and blind to Westminster's maneuvers, until it's already too late. Starmer isn't just redesigning the House of Lords. He's locking the real owners of the house in the cellar while he changes the locks upstairs. And it goes further. The Red File doesn't just clear the benches, it carefully dictates who will take those seats. This is the Trojan horse no one is talking about. The plan calls for replacing these independent hereditary figures with appointed experts. And who gets to appoint them? The Prime Minister. See the trap now? Starmer is preparing to flood the Lords with loyal supporters, donors, and ideological foot soldiers. He's building a chamber that will rubber stamp every radical proposal he sends through, including, potentially, the gradual dismantling of the monarchy itself. Inside Clarence House and Kensington Palace, the mood has shifted from shock to war footing. Reports suggest William has scrapped all private engagements for the evening. He is reportedly closeted with the top constitutional lawyers in the country, raking through legal history from 1911 all the way back to 1689, hunting for any tool, any obscure mechanism, that might stop this bill in its tracks. And then there's the personal insult hidden in all this. One of the names on that purge list is the Earl Marshal, the key figure responsible for organizing coronations and state funerals. By targeting him, Starmer is sending a blunt message. We control the pageantry now. We own the image of the crown. It's a calculated provocation. And it's working. Because behind those palace walls, there is talk, whispers at first, now louder, of a nuclear option. A constitutional weapon so extreme it hasn't been used in over 100 years. A power whose mere mention risks igniting a political firestorm. William is said to be urging his father, King Charles, to consider deploying it, refusing royal assent. In other words, vetoing the bill. This would be the ultimate roll of the dice. If they refuse assent, the monarchy asserts its true power and kills the bill outright, but in doing so, it risks plunging Britain into the worst constitutional crisis in modern history. If they sign, they may be signing away their own future. Starmer believes he's boxed the king into a no-win corner. He is betting that the royals are too scared of public backlash to fight. But he may have gravely misread William, who appears ready to risk everything rather than quietly oversee the execution of his own institution. We are now in uncharted waters. Make no mistake, the so-called nuclear option being whispered about is not a metaphor. It is a real, ancient, and dangerously powerful constitutional tool, the refusal of royal assent. To grasp why this is so alarming, you need to remember one basic principle. In the UK, a bill does not become law until the monarch signs it. For more than 3 centuries, that signature has been a ceremony, a polite formality. No monarch has said no since Queen Anne in 1707. Now, that taboo may be on the verge of breaking. Prince William is reportedly telling his father that the old rules no longer apply. If Starmer is willing to rip up conventions to force through his agenda, why should the crown keep playing by the old script? If King Charles refuses to sign the reform bill, he kills it instantly. It would be the clearest demonstration of royal authority in modern times, a reminder that the crown is not just a decorative logo, but the final guardian of the Constitution. But here's the horrifying twist. The move might be exactly what Starmer wants. Legal experts now suspect that Starmer is deliberately goading the palace into using the veto. The moment Charles refuses to sign a bill passed by elected MPs, Starmer can walk out in front of the cameras and declare that the unelected monarchy is blocking the democratic will of the people. He can flip the story overnight, painting the royals not as victims, but as obstacles to democracy. This is the trap. It's a classic lose-lose. If the king signs, he approves a law that weakens his own institution, maybe fatally. If he refuses, he triggers a crisis that could very well lead to a referendum on abolishing the monarchy altogether. Starmer has maneuvered the crown into a position where every move looks like a self-checkmate. William sees the trap, but his logic is different. His camp believes that doing nothing is suicide. They argue that Starmer's reforms are so aggressive, so destabilizing, that the public may actually rally behind a monarch who finally stands up to a power-hungry prime minister. It's a huge gamble on one thing: the emotional loyalty of the British people. The tension between father and son is said to be intense. Charles, who waited a lifetime to become king, is naturally cautious. He does not want to be remembered as the monarch who lost the kingdom. William, looking at a future where his role is gutted before he even ascends, is far more willing to fight. The bill lies on the desk. The pen is hovering. And every passing moment deepens the sense that we are watching history teeter on a knife edge. Meanwhile, Starmer waits, ready to twist whichever decision the crown makes into a weapon for his own cause. This is not a simple reform. This is a brilliantly engineered ambush. And while everyone is staring at Westminster, obsessing over the constitutional chess match, they're missing the most devastating part of Starmer's strategy. The legal reforms are the hammer. The real poison is economic. The 21st century's battles aren't won solely in Parliament. They're won through money, control of assets, control of funding, control of financial independence. Hidden deep in the reform documents, buried in dry, technical language that almost slipped past our analysts, is a clause that could financially strangle the monarchy. It concerns the legal status of hereditary estates. Prince William's personal income, along with the funding for his household, his charitable projects, and his staff, comes largely from the Duchy of Cornwall, a private estate that has belonged to the heir to the throne since 1337. It is what gives him a measure of independence from the government. Starmer's secret clause challenges this. The proposal would redefine aspects of the Duchy's status, allowing Parliament greater oversight and potentially redirecting its assets, under the argument that in a modern democracy such giant wealth pools should be considered public resources, not private inheritance. See the strategy. By removing hereditary peers from the Lords first, Starmer clears the room of the only people who both understand the Duchy's intricate legal protections and have the motivation to defend them. Once they're gone, the road to raiding royal finances becomes much smoother. This is a direct assault on William's independence. If this clause becomes reality, William effectively becomes a state employee, his financial freedom replaced by government allowance. Any major initiative, from Earthshot to mental health campaigns, would need political approval. A monarch who controls no money controls nothing. Insiders say this financial threat has shaken palace officials more than any other part of the plan. One aide reportedly muttered during a briefing, "They're going to starve us out." You don't have to physically dethrone a monarchy if you can quietly bankrupt it. Legal teams at the Duchy of Cornwall are scrambling to push back, calling this nationalization by stealth. Their argument is simple. If the government can seize what has always been recognized as the prince's private estate, then no private property owner in Britain is truly safe. But Starmer is banking on public resentment. In a cost-of-living crisis, he knows that portraying a billionaire prince's estate as public money is an easy sell. So while the king agonizes over the veto, William is fighting to save his financial lifeline. The House of Lords reform is not just a constitutional tweak, it's the master key to the royal vault. And once that vault door is pried open, it may never close again. The monarchy isn't just facing political sidelining. It's staring down the barrel of financial extinction within a generation. If the legal reforms are the hammer and the financial clauses are the siege, Then what comes next is the psychological warfare. Today's wars for power aren't just fought in chambers and courts, they're fought on your phone, in your feed, in the comment sections and trending tabs. And according to a source from deep within Labour's strategy machine, a full-scale digital assault has already been launched. Its code name is chillingly blunt: Kill the Saint. The target: Prince William's reputation. Starmer and his team know that William's greatest asset is not his title, it's his popularity. He is the good prince, the relatable family man, the caring father. As long as the public feels warmth toward him, any direct attack on his position is dangerous. So the plan is simple: destroy that affection. Look at the pattern. Over the past 48 hours, there's been a sudden surge of coordinated negativity, hashtags on X, probing investigations into the cost of his travel, op-eds dissecting his carbon footprint, snide pieces about helicopter trips and royal spending. These aren't random. This is a targeted campaign. Our source says a specialist rapid response unit has been tasked with digging up anything that can be spun against William. Every minor misstep is magnified, every good intention twisted. They are weaponizing the very causes he champions: climate, inequality, homelessness, turning them into accusations of hypocrisy. The goal is to alienate the younger generation, the very group William has spent years trying to connect with. And the sharpest weapon of all is silence. Traditionally, the government defends the monarch's image in times of attack. Not this time. Downing Street is refusing to step in. That silence is approval in everything but name. It's an open invitation for the media wolves to keep circling. William feels the shift. Those close to him say he's hurt, but resolute. He understands that the old motto, never complain, never explain, is a death sentence in the age of viral disinformation. If he says nothing, lies harden into truth. If he speaks, he risks being accused of political meddling. It's a psychological trap designed to force him into an error that destroys his dignity. But the palace is not defenseless. We're hearing whispers of a countermove, internally called the People's Prince strategy. The idea is for William to bypass the traditional press entirely, speaking directly to the nation through unconventional channels, perhaps a raw documentary, perhaps an unfiltered social media message, showing the man behind the manufactured smears. It's risky. It will shock traditionalists. But William appears to see no alternative. If the government has turned the media into a weapon, William is preparing to turn authenticity into his own. While Britain is transfixed by the domestic showdown, something even larger is quietly catching fire overseas. Our investigation points to a coordinated international shift. This isn't just about Westminster or the House of Lords. It's about dismantling the last real legacy of the British Empire, the Commonwealth. William is not only the future king of the UK. He is the future head of state for 14 other nations. And Starmer knows that too. Leaked diplomatic cables from the Foreign Office reveal a chilling policy change. Where ambassadors were once instructed to support and promote the value of the monarchy, a new directive tells them to adopt neutral indifference toward Republican movements in the Caribbean and Pacific. In diplomatic language, neutral indifference means, let them go. The message to countries like Jamaica, Australia, and the Bahamas is subtle but unmistakable. London isn't going to fight to keep the monarchy. By undermining the king's power at home through reform, Starmer hands these nations the perfect justification to cut ties abroad. William is reportedly devastated. He has poured years into building genuine relationships across the Commonwealth, viewing it as his future mission, a network of shared history and cooperation. Now he is watching those ties being quietly loosened from inside his own government. If the bill passes and this diplomatic signal spreads, we could see a chain reaction. Jamaica votes to leave. Then perhaps Australia. Then Canada. Within a year or two, realm after realm could peel away, until William inherits a throne whose jurisdiction ends at Britain's shoreline. He would become a king of a small island, stripped of the global footprint that has defined the House of Windsor for generations. This is Starmer's geopolitical checkmate. He doesn't need to remove William. He only needs to make the role irrelevant. By the time William wears the crown, there may be almost nothing left to rule. But Starmer has miscalculated one crucial factor. He assumed that because William is supposed to be a neutral figurehead, he would stay on the sidelines while his world is dismantled. He assumed the prince would watch in silence as the roof caved in. That assumption may prove fatal. Our latest intelligence reveals a series of secret meetings at Anmer Hall, William's country residence, over the past 48 hours. These were not social dinners. They were strategy summits. And the guest list would make Starmer's blood run cold. In attendance, we're told, were not just royal loyalists, but senior military figures, former intelligence chiefs, and, most explosively, disillusioned members of Starmer's own party. Yes, there is now talk of an internal revolt, a faction of Labour Old Guard MPs who believe Starmer has gone too far. They see these reforms not as progress, but as a reckless power grab that endangers national stability and could destroy Labour at the ballot box. They have found an unlikely ally in Prince William. We are calling this emerging coalition the Unholy Alliance, a group bound together by one shared goal: to destroy the bill before it destroys the monarchy. Our sources claim that William is now receiving a steady stream of encrypted intel from the heart of government. There is a mole inside Downing Street itself, someone in Starmer's inner circle feeding the palace draft documents, internal memos, private polling. This, we are told, is how the red file and the financial clauses first saw daylight. They were not the result of a careless leak. They were deliberate acts of sabotage. Armed with this inside information, William and his allies are preparing a legislative ambush. The plan is ruthless: use every obscure parliamentary device available, filibusters, an avalanche of amendments, procedural roadblocks, to bog the bill down until it becomes too politically expensive for Starmer to continue. This is no longer a polite constitutional disagreement. This is a shadow war. William, for the first time, is stepping out of the ceremonial realm and into the raw arena of power politics. He is no longer just defending a symbol, he is leading a resistance. The atmosphere in Westminster is now thick with paranoia. Ministers are eyeing one another, wondering who the traitor is. Starmer feels the ground shifting and is reportedly preparing to purge his inner circle to root out the leak. But it may already be too late. The trap is set. The resistance is organized. And the counterstrike is ready. We have arrived at the point of no return. The pieces are in position. The nuclear option is primed. The Unholy Alliance stands poised to act. What's coming is not just another vote. It's a showdown for the soul of Britain. On one side stands Keir Starmer, a prime minister determined to reshape the nation in his own vision, cutting away centuries of tradition in the name of modernity, and, critics say, consolidating unprecedented power in the hands of the executive. On the other stands Prince William, a man fighting not just for his inheritance, but for the fragile balance between crown and parliament that has kept this country from sliding into outright authoritarian rule. If this bill passes unchanged, the United Kingdom as you've known it is finished. The House of Lords becomes a compliant echo chamber filled with party loyalists. The monarchy is financially suffocated and diplomatically sidelined, reduced to a decorative tourist attraction. The Commonwealth slips away. The red file completes its purge, and the remaining independent voices are erased. But if William's risky gamble works, if the alliance can stall or kill the bill, it will be one of the most dramatic political reversals in modern history. It would prove that the crown still holds its most powerful weapon, the people's loyalty. So I put the question to you watching this right now. Where do you stand? Is Keir Starmer the modernizer, rescuing democracy from outdated privilege? Or is he a calculating operator, tearing apart the Constitution to capture more power? Is Prince William right to break with tradition and intervene? Or should he sit silently while the very foundations of his role are dismantled beneath his feet? Look at their faces. One symbolizes a relentless new order, the other, 1,000 years of continuity. They cannot both win. The middle ground is gone. We're hearing that the final vote is being accelerated. The confrontation is imminent. Our source inside Downing Street has warned that the next 24 hours will be decisive. We will track every move, dissect every leak, and bring you the facts the mainstream outlets are too cautious or too controlled to touch. This is history, and you're sitting in the front row. Do not let this story be buried. If you believe people deserve to know about the red file, the financial chokehold, and the secret war for the throne, then you must act. Hit like so this video breaks through the algorithm wall. Share it with everyone, family, friends, colleagues, before it's quietly suppressed. And subscribe with notifications on, because the moment the nuclear option is triggered, or the government collapses, we will be here, live, telling you what truly happened. The storm is here. The king is cornered. The prince is fighting. And time has run out. Thank you for watching.